The new rules to touring homes. Big changes coming this August to the way buyers will be able to look at homes and their interactions with their agents. That plus more coming up on this edition of the Running Real Estate Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Running Real Estate Podcast. I'm Ryan Haley. We've had a little bit of a summer break here from the podcast, but I wanted to get right back into it as we have some major changes coming to the way people are going to be able to view homes, which will start here in August. In fact, as of August 17th, there are new rules in place. And I'm going to focus on the buyer side today as to what those rule changes might be. So first off, before actually viewing a home, a buyer is going to have to enter into an agreement. So that is a buyer agency agreement. And if I back up, if you recall, I did a podcast back in March. It was right around March 15th, as there was a National Association of Realtors settlement that took place. And in that settlement, the National Association of Realtors agreed to make some changes to their policy and roll out some new rules. And the first rule, as I mentioned, affects the buyer side. So if you're going to be touring homes, and whether you're on one of the major portals searching for homes, or you're on my website, or I've known you for years and you want to go out and take a look at a property, before doing so, we're going to have to enter into an agreement. It's the new requirement, and it's going to be a buyer agency agreement. That buyer agency agreement is going to state the length of term that we will be working together. It's also going to state what the compensation that a buyer will pay to a broker is, and it's also going to state that all commissions are negotiable. Those were some of the changes that need to be put in place and be put onto these buyer agency forms. So, interestingly enough, here in Maryland, we were one of 16 states that already had a requirement that you needed to enter into a buyer agency agreement if an agent was going to represent you. And it needed to be done prior to going out and actually looking at properties. And the reason that is you in the past could go out and look at a property without entering into a buyer agency agreement, but that agent was not able to discuss any negotiation tactics, anything that might affect that value of the property. They wouldn't be able to make any recommendations. They just could open the door, essentially, because they were technically working for the seller. So it's a similar type of situation here, but now that agency requirement has to be signed and put in place, and it's not just limited to Maryland. It's the entire United States of America. The National Association of Realtors has this requirement. So what are these agency agreements going to look like? And I can tell you that our company policy is to have some flexibility and have multiple options for our clients. You might see the two most common agency agreements being a 6-month agreement and or a 12-month agreement. And then you might also see a shorter term, like our company, what we've decided to do. And I have to think back to and relate this to maybe marriage, right? I've been happily married for years, but most people, before they actually marry and commit to somebody, do some dating, right? Dating is part of the process while you're getting to know somebody before you actually commit to marriage. And I think that's kind of what we are hoping to accomplish as a company. We've developed a shorter term, which is a 30-day test drive option for our buyers. And the whole goal there is that we get to know you better, you get to know us better, and while we're getting to know each other, we're obviously complying with the law, we're in an agreement, and we're looking at properties. But if for some reason we find that it's not the perfect fit, well, then we can agree to go our separate ways after that 30-day period of time. There's also going to be an option for a single property agreement. So if you call up, or say you're on one of the major portals and you request a showing and you want to go out and see that, well, the agency agreement still has to be in place. But for that type of situation, we might do a single property agreement. Now, single property agreement is great. It checks the box for what we need to do. But if we're going to go out and look at other properties, we're going to have to continue to get that single property agreement signed, or we could move on to, say, that 30-day test drive. The other piece, which I feel could be an option here, and you might see some agents agreeing to, is exclusive versus non-exclusive. So what does that mean? Well, in an exclusive relationship, you agree to work with that one agent exclusively for all property inquiries, for all negotiations, and ultimately, when you buy the property, that agent's going to get paid. Well, another option could be maybe we go non-exclusive, where if we agree to a 30-day period of time and it's non-exclusive, if you were to like us as your agent and you feel that we're representing you in the absolute best light and you do purchase a property, well then, obviously, we would agree to the terms and there would be a compensation owed to our brokerage. But if you chose to work with another agent during that period of time, the non-exclusive piece, then there would be no commission owed to our brokerage. So what I see is, yes, there are some changes. And I want my clients to know, I want the public to know that agents are going to be having conversations with you. They're going to ask, do you have any knowledge of the changes coming? And it's going to be their responsibility to explain those changes to you. And they are going to be requiring and asking for an agreement to be signed. So, like I said, for our clients, I just want to make sure you're aware of those changes ahead of time. We'll certainly have these conversations as we move forward. And that's all part of that buyer consultation that we have, where we sit down with you, whether it's over the phone, whether it's face-to-face, whether it's over Zoom, and we talk about the process. We answer your questions. We talk about the benefits to buying in certain areas and what the lifestyle might be like and what the process is as far as documents and offers and negotiation strategies. That's all part of that buyer consultation. So that is what I wanted to bring to your attention. New changes coming into play here August 17th, 2024. Should you have any questions about these changes or any aspect of real estate here at the Maryland and Delaware beaches, it would be our pleasure to assist. So thanks for tuning in. We truly appreciate it. If you like this information, please share it with your friends. Subscribe to this channel, and we'll see you again with another edition of the Running Real Estate Podcast.